Hollywood is about to celebrate itself in the ultimate pageant of narcissism and self-congratulation. The Oscars. We all watch movies, whether at home in our cocoons, like a bunch of patient cheapskates, or in a crowded cineplex with goofy 3D glasses pressed against our eager faces. Good movies can change the way you look at life, and bad ones can make you so grouchy you want to punch your rational hand through the screen and rattle some of Matt Damon's 350 teeth loose. Add to that, the movie industry is deeply subsidized, and it's a form of cultural inequality that makes you pause and cry. If only you could do that on camera. It's almost Oscar night, so put on a nice dress and some lipstick. You too, ladies. This is The Independents. Hi there, I'm Kennedy, your hostess tonight. Along with Reason Magazine editor-in-chief Matt Welch, who is wearing a stunning tuxedo with a red vest, and Camille Foster. There's Camille. Well, there's Camille. I always get those two confused. Camille's from Free Think Media, and he's wearing a stunning suit. We are The Independents, and we love celluloid. We're here tonight to pay homage to some films that have moved us, those that fit nicely or awkwardly into our political philosophies. And we're gonna trash the stinkers, because like I said, everyone loves movies, and I asked a few people on the street about some of their favorites. Which won the Oscar for Best Picture?
Gravity.
All right.
American Hustle.
Oh, yes, that's great.
Yeah.
I love Bradley Cooper.
Yes, oh God.
And Christian Bale.
Bradley Cooper.
And J-Law. And Amy Adams.
I liked American Hustle, so Amy Adams and Christian Bale in American Hustle was really good.
I mean, DiCaprio was obviously good fun in Wall Street, but...
He was a bit depraved.
I'm hoping American Hustle. Personally, I love Jennifer Lawrence as an actress, and I really hope she wins.
American Hustle.
What's his name?
That one guy. Martin Scorsese. Leonardo
Scorsese.
DiCaprio.
No,
12 Years a Slave.
the...
Steve McQueen.
We just saw the movie, Dallas Buyers Club. There you
Dallas
go.
Buyers
We saw
Club.
it on the movie
Matthew
on the
McConaughey.
girlfriend. Correct.
And
Matthew
maybe
McConaughey.
Jared Leto.
Correct, yeah. Another good, that was a very good actor as well. Very
Were you
good.
conflicted about your feelings for Jared Leto because you liked him a whole lot in that role?
Yeah, he was fantastic. So my girlfriend and I loved him.
Wolf Wall Street.
You think so?
That movie was, well, you know what? Maybe Dallas Buyers Club.
Okay. Let it go, let it go. I won with the wind and sky, and here I stand. Let the storm rage on. Cold
Never bother me anyway.
You are so cute. Don't you think that should win Best Picture at the Oscars? Frozen? Absolutely. I'm right there with you. I'm totally not lying. Like, I'm going to try and be fancy and say, like, a smart movie was the best film of the year, but I love Frozen so much. And we have convened a panel of film experts, men who take in more movies in a week than I see in a decade. It's my friend and mentor, Kurt Loder, who also happens to be the movie critic at Reason.com, and Kyle Smith, who writes fantastic, funny, and insightful critiques for the New York Post, all on film. And the Post, of course, is owned by our parent company. Thank you, Dad. So let's talk about some of the best and worst movies this year. Kurt, I'm going to start with you. What did you love? What just leapt out and slept in your lap?
I think it was a year when there are so many good movies. It's like throwing a dart at a wall. I mean,
That's great to hear, though. It's nice to have a year that fruitful.
There's so many. I mean, you have a movie like Her, you have Gravity, and Wolf of Wall Street, and 12 Years a Slave. Those movies are all great, but they don't resemble each other at all. So picking one as the best is like stupid. I would go with Wolf of Wall Street because I love that movie. It's exciting, has a lot of vitality for a director who's like.
Are you a
74.
Scorsese fan?
Yeah.
Okay. And Kyle?
To me, Wolf of Wall Street, you get the point in about 5 minutes. Okay, these guys partied a lot. 180 minutes later, it's okay, these guys partied a lot. I've seen enough, snorting cocaine off hookers or whatever.
I bet you have, Kyle.
I mean, enough about my personal life, but I loved Gravity. Gravity gives you everything you need in a movie. It transports you to another dimension. It's got a big emotional kick at the end. It's got Sandra Bullock crawling out of the primordial ooze and being reborn. What more could you ask for?
But some of those lines were a bit overdone, no? I mean, her in the fetal position in front of the window. I love the movie. I should say that. I went to see it at the massive IMAX in Lincoln Center, which is the way this film was meant to be experienced. But even though I went to see it twice, paid full price, that was maybe a little much.
Who were the people watching it on television? Who are the people watching?
I actually saw it on TV, and it was really good. I have a 42-inch screen, but it was really good.
Yeah, we have a pretty
I
good
mean, it's
experience.
supposed to be consumed in IMAX
It's
3D, right?
Yeah.
It should be a 3D movie.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt? What did you like this year?
Well, as a parent of a 5-year-old and who is not necessarily paid to watch movies for a living, I didn't see that many movies. But what I totally loved was Inside Llewyn Davis, the Coen brothers' quickly forgotten kind of tale of the Greenwich Village folk music scene, sort of pre-Dylan. It's sort of fictitious version of Dave Van Ronk's life. And it's great because it's totally just nasty.
Yeah.
The character is not someone that you root for at all, but there are little moments of really transcendent music making and like portraying what people are doing while they're making music and harmonizing in the little sweet spots and the nasty spots. I just loved it more than almost anything that they've made.
All right, so I want to ask you, and you guys can speak to this as well. How does that compare to Fargo, No Country for Old Men, Big Lebowski, some other Coen Brothers movies?
I generally like like Coen Brothers comedies much more than I like their serious Oscar-winning movies. So I prefer Lebowski and Oh Brother Where Art Thou and this one, which is not really a comedy, but it's not like some big, heavy, serious thing. I didn't like the other ones, really. I didn't like No Country for Old Men.
See, I loved Frozen. I did. I'm so unashamed to say it. And like Matt, I have, 2 girls, and we see a lot of kids' movies, and Frozen was definitely the best of the lot. Camille, you don't have that many children. What did you like? You're a smart person.
Yes, not that I know of. We've talked a lot about narratives, certainly a lot of great narratives this year, but there were also a lot of great documentaries. And I saw Jeremy Scahill's Dirty Wars, which was a really, really phenomenal and thoughtful film that I wish had come out before the election. But that is another story for another day. But it's a really remarkable film, also based on a really great, heavy and long book. So I would recommend that one really, really highly. I'm happy to see it nominated. Also other great ones like Blackfish that came out this year, for example.
Dirty Wars was pretty notable, too, because Jeremy Scahill's a guy who writes for The Nation. I mean, he comes from the left of center, for sure. And it's a real scathing critique of how President Obama inherited the Bush-Cheney policies and kind of doubled down on a lot of them in the way that we conduct our warfare.
And that's not the first time we're hearing that, but it was presented in such a way that really moved you.
Powerful indictment.
I loved Blue Jasmine. Am I a horrible person for loving a Woody Allen movie?
Yes. Yes, you are. No, not at all. I think his problems may affect the movie at the Academy Awards, but that's stupid. His movies and his private life are separate.
Should it affect whether or not Cate Blanchett wins the Oscar for Best Actress?
Shouldn't, but I have a feeling it may.
That's too bad. I mean, because her performance in that movie is so transcendent. It's almost difficult to describe what she does and why it's so good. Why don't you try and do that, Kyle? If you agree with me.
It was transcendently awful. It was the worst performance of the year. I hated every frame of that movie.
Are you serious? You
There's
hate
never
Blue Jasmine?
a single second of that movie when you can forget that she is an actress and she is acting because she's reaching for the vodka and she's going like this and she has a headache and oh my God, she's Blanche Dubois. Only it's a really watered down, neutered Streetcar Named Desire.
I'm not even ashamed to say that I love Cate Blanchett. Like, I know you're a smart film guy, but I also know when I'm moved by something, I may be a simple person and a civilian. And maybe it was the Chanel jacket, but I could imagine that someone who was like Bernie Madoff's widow, even though Bernie Madoff is...
Give me the vodka. Oh no, I can't
I would totally give you
I'm
the
such an
vodka.
alcoholic.
I want you to be drunk on alcohol and not movie power. I'm just kidding, guys. I adore you. All right, well, you've heard some nice words and some mean ones about well-crafted artistic masterpieces, but a lot of crap got made. It made it onto the big screen. We'll get out the shovel because there's plenty to spread around. We're going to dole out our Grouchy Oscars. It's the Independent.
Welcome to the world of showbiz arrangement where lights, camera, action is the language. Welcome to the wonderful world of entertainment where art imitate life and people get famous. Well, I bet you I'm gonna be a big star. Might win an Oscar, you can never tell.
You really do. I would totally give Thor 2 my Grouchy Oscar. I love it. I love Norse hammers. I'm just a sucker that way. You know that. Welcome back to the Independence, where it's not always cupcakes and kitty cats. Sometimes we're downright grouchy. It is Oscar season, and some big movies have a lot on the line as they vie for the big Oscar prizes. Some movies, although decorated, were overrated. Take a look. What's the most overrated movie last year?
The Butler.
Most overrated, Gravity.
But it should win.
I think it's going to win.
You're a conflicted man, Banana Hat.
Gravity.
Gravity was overrated. We saw that. I mean, it was impressive effects, but as a film, It's a bit preposterous.
It's a metaphor for
Someone who is in romantic comedies, and now they're in space.
very good. Well said.
I thought Her was a little bit overrated.
Yeah, well, Spike Jonze has always said really nice things about you, so I'm kind of surprised. Kurt Loder and Kyle Smith. What stunk up the box office for you guys this year?
Kurt?
I would say that After Earth was a terrible, terrible movie. It wasn't overrated because everybody hated it. And Spring Breakers is one of the worst movies.
But people actually said that that was good.
There were 5 or 6 people that really loved that movie, but it's just
Were they paid
awful. They must have been. Well, I think
put a blurb on the movie poster?
It's like hipster bait. You know, it's got Harmony Korine and it's kind of low tech and stuff, but it's just horrible. It's about a group of college girls who can't afford to go to spring break in Florida, so they rob a restaurant and go down there and become gun-toting mamas. I was talking to a friend of mine and said, well, this movie has a message. I said, well, what is it? He said, spring break doesn't last forever.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the message of the movie.
Wow, that's heavy,
Is that actually worse than After Earth? I mean, this is M. Night Shyamalan continuing his tradition of making big dollar stinkers.
I know. Well,
He's still making movies?
That is his film.
That's
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you have Will Smith in a movie and you break his legs in the first 10 minutes and you only see his kid for the rest of the movie, like...
That's brutal.
I can almost forgive the ego trip more than the here's my son and his ego trip. I'm passing the baton of ego over.
Oh, nepotistic narcissism.
Did anyone see R.I.P.D., which was this Men in Black ripoff?
No.
Unspeakably awful. It's one of these sci-fi movies. Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds are these dead cops who have to come back to Earth and kill a bunch of bad ghosts and stuff in order to regain their lives. It's one of these sci-fi movies where they make up the rules as they go along, and there's some different thing, and they're always explaining the exposition as they go along. It's like massive cheesy special effects and then exposition telling you what's the next step along the way, and it's going to be totally different from what you're expecting. Total mess all the way through.
Did you have to force yourself to sit through the entire movie?
Well, I get paid to watch bad movies, so in my case, it was just another profitable experience.
Was there a movie so bad this year that even though you were paid, you wanted to leave? Like you question your career choices? It was so bad.
That happens a lot. They're releasing something like 600-700 movies in New York every year, and at least half of them are just totally awful, and you feel like walking out. But on the other hand, it's not like I'm on duty in Afghanistan. I am getting paid to sit through.
What do you think was overrated this year?
American Hustle. If you're writing a satire of American mores and capitalism, and the funniest thing in your movie is the wigs, then I'm not sure you're much of a satirist.
There were some pretty great performances in that, though, no?
I liked Christian Bale. To me, Christian Bale was imagining his character from the inside out. He was thinking what it would be like to be this guy. Jennifer Lawrence is the opposite. She's going outside in. She's doing like a Saturday Night Live sketch of a Jewish housewife, and she's 15 years too young for this role. She's supposed to be this jaded, middle-aged woman.
She'll win the Oscar. Just you watch. Julia Roberts has no chance.
I got Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah, I think Lupita
she probably
might take it.
Yeah, and I love what she wears on the red carpet. What did you guys despise this year?
Elysium. This is what happens when you let people who are richer than we could ever contemplate being write fables set in the near future about how the 1% are keeping us all down on an
literally
keeping us down in a escape from Los Angeles like colony of mostly Mexicans and Matt Damon who need
and
to go.
they very subtly called them illegals.
Yeah.
It was very subtle.
As our producer Andrew Heaton wrote for the Freeman, it was Matt Damon versus the Space Republicans, and that makes it sound more interesting than it actually was. It was just it was almost as stupid as Avatar.
Your worst?
Tepid defense of Only God Forgives. My worst was After Earth. Only God Forgives was not as bad as people say. Maybe it's just the fact that I have a crush on the lead actor, like a man crush, 10% gay, maybe. But phenomenal film. I liked it. So shut up, everybody.
Couldn't Ryan Gosling just play a nice guy once in a while, like a nice normal guy, instead of like this super edgy, super cool
I'm not even listening to you right now.
Could he get more dialogue?
Not even listening to you right now.
I didn't like Smurfs too. And now you've been fully informed. Our gentlemen will be back to play a game a little later. Speaking of which, how well do you remember Oscar speeches? Because we've got experts, we've got paddles, we've got a game on our hands. You ready to play along? Coming up next, why are we so enamored with Hollywood glamour? It's The Independent, the Grouchy Oscar edition, and that is very glamorous.
All those big city nights, in those high rolling hills, above all the lights, she had all on her skin. Stars as you walk down Hollywood Boulevard.
Welcome back to The Independent. Are you ready for your close-up as we go deep dissecting movies, Hollywood, and why we're so obsessed with other people's lives and beauty? Oscar night is most captivating, not for the movies that win the trophies or the tear-soaked speeches, but for the gowns, the jewelry, the spray tans and coiffes that create the ultimate glamour bubble. The fortunes of fashion houses can be changed by one night on the red carpet. Who are you wearing has become a more acceptable question than what was your motivation for that role. Virginia Postrel joins us. She's the former editor of Reason magazine. She's the author of The Power of Glamour. Welcome, Virginia. It's nice to have you here. So,
Great
Virginia,
to be with you.
Oh, thank you, love. Tell me, why is glamour so important, and why are we so obsessed with it, especially in concert with something like the Oscars?
Well, glamour is a very pervasive and powerful form of visual communication. We see something glamorous, it could be an image, it could even be a mental picture, and we have a certain feeling. We feel, if only life could be like that, if only I could be on that beach, if only I could wear that gown, if only I could have that Oscar or whatever. And so it gives us great pleasure in many forms, and it also can affect how we live our lives. Not only what we buy, but even where we live, what occupations we pursue, even who we vote for.
I mean, from the time we're little girls, I watch my girls play dress up. You know, they've got a princess box with fake jewelry, and one of their favorite things to do is put on princess gowns and play make-believe. And that's essentially what the Oscars are for actresses and for people who live vicariously through them. But you think that there are millions of dollars to be made by one great dress for a fashion house on the runway?
Well, there are two great glamorous moments in the Oscars. One is the glamour of winning an Oscar, which is, why is that so great? Oh, it's for the audience. It's the same fantasy as it is the experience, which is imagine having all your, peers recognize you as super special. And the reason we hate Oscar speeches is that it kind of detracts from that glamour when you name 52 people who helped you get there. It's polite, but it's not as glamorous for the audience. The other great glamorous moment, which is not glamorous for the people in it, it's just work, it's their job, but is glamorous for the audience, is the red carpet. And we have this idea of the red carpet as, first of all, if you're on the red carpet, you're super special, and we would love to be special. You're super polished, and everything is perfect in terms of your attire. So we wish we were like that, and so it really plays to the audience's fantasies, and it's very removed from our everyday lives. And this idea of escape and transformation is a central theme in glamour.
Virginia, what role has Hollywood itself played in the kind of spread of glamour? You talk a lot about glamour being sort of the art of visual persuasion. Hollywood certainly is it the primary conduit or one of the top 5 conduits of that kind of persuasion?
Well, theatrical productions of all sorts. Before there was Hollywood, there were staged plays, and they were very important in spreading a kind of glamour. And you have to realize that when I talk about glamour, I'm talking about something that's like humor, that takes many different forms. But Hollywood used glamour a lot in its early days. It established a certain visual vocabulary that we still associate with glamour when you go back to the black and white movies, and there was this portrayal of a world that is different from yours, better than yours, but with characters you somehow can identify with enough. So they're mysterious, but there's enough of the sense of being like you that you can project yourself into them. And glamour is this process of projecting, creating projection and longing. And Hollywood did that really, really well, particularly in the 1930s. And it established ideas that we still call glamour, even though that's really talking about more of a style than this sort of imaginative sense.
And it's these beauty ideals that are impossible for women to live up to, but we still want a glimpse of what perfection might be like. And when you couple that with creativity in the gowns and being in millions of dollars worth of jewelry, it's very, very effective.
Well, yes, one of the things that we hate to admit is that we wish we were beautiful. We wish we were admired. We wished we were desired. All of these things are deep human desires, not just for women, but in slightly different forms for men as well. And what we're getting a glimpse of on the red carpet, for example, is someone that we can imagine, if I were like that, I would have all these desires met. Now, the thing about glamour is that it always also contains an element of illusion. It hides the difficulties, it hides the costs, it hides the publicist standing to the side in the photo. I actually have a Pinterest board of all these people who are the behind-the-scenes players who show up on the red carpet. If you look at red carpet photos, often you will see, some publicist or manager with a really humongous handbag standing behind the perfectly groomed star, who of course needs no purse because that
I've
would
got everything
detract
on me
from the autonomy. Yeah.
All right, Virginia, thank you so much. The Power of Glamour, beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, very good. The film industry is subsidized with supersized lies, and we're going to play an Oscar version of Who Said It, because Oscar speeches are the most important words that fall from human lips all year. Looked so easy. Oops. Was that A, Jennifer Lawrence, B, Melissa Leo, C, Monique? And the correct answer is Melissa Leo. ABC was able to bleep out it was when she won Best Supporting Actress for The Fighter. Very good. You guys got that right.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
Yep, sure did.
Oh, wow. 1, 2, boom. Question number 2. Who said it? It's my privilege. Thank you. That was the entire speech. Was it A, Jack Palance, B, Jessica Tandy, C, Joe Pesci? We have a split decision here. The answer is C, Joe Pesci. Camille, oh my gosh, you're in the lead. He said this when he won Best Supporting He said this when he won Best Supporting Actor for Goodfellas in 1990.
Deserved it.
That's right.
Totally deserved
I
it.
was in the Gulf War at the time. I missed that Oscar broadcast.
Oh, play the Gulf War.
Wow. Oh, here's my Purple Heart. I can depart for free. Okay, number 3. Quote, they gave me the biggest gift, poverty. Who said this thanking their parents? Was it A, Roberto Benigni, B, Benicio del Toro, or C, Jean Dujardin? And the answer is A, Kurt Loder gets it. Woo! You are tied with Camille, Kurt Loder. Question number 4. Quote, we are a little bit out of touch in Hollywood every once in a while. Who said this in their Oscar speech? A, Jeff Bridges, B, Julia Roberts, C, George Clooney. And everyone gets it right, indeed, across the board. George Clooney said that when he won Best Supporting Actor Oscar for Syriana in 2006.
Old Clooney.
Question, the old Clooney Marooney. That is right. Number 5. Who said this? Quote, did I really earn this, or did I just wear y'all down? Was it A, Natalie Portman, B, Sandra Bullock, C, Martin Landau? My nemesis. The correct answer is B, Sandra Bullock. Everyone gets it. All right, very good. Kurt Loder and Camille Foster are tied for the lead with 2 questions left. Who said it? Quote, why don't you sit, because I may never be here again. Was it A, Meryl Streep, B, Jennifer Hudson, C, Julia Roberts? 3 of you got that right. Correct,
Hey.
Julia Roberts. It was for the best performance by an actress in a leading role for 2001's Erin Brockovich.
Has she indeed never been back again?
She's there every year. She'll be there, Sunday.
She might not be up there, but she'll be in a cute
Well,
dress.
she's up for an award.
She is, but she
I don't
might
think she's
not
gonna
win.
I don't think she's going to win.
You don't think she's going to win?
She won't win.
Is it the smear campaign?
That's what's done it, I think. It's
bad.
every year.
Every year
Yeah,
they
they're
do
just
that. They're
beating her
a
down.
bunch of dirty
I know.
bastards.
Hollywood.
They should have the
Shark Tank.
Olympics in Hollywood. I said it. Okay, who said it? Inspects the Oscar. Quote, he has no genitalia and he's holding a sword. I'd like to thank my parents for not practicing birth control. Was it A, Robin Williams, B, Dustin Hoffman, C, Kevin Spacey?
Oh.
Matt Welch got that one right. The answer is Dustin Hoffman. You won
Really?
Kramer versus Kramer and said that about Oscar. Thank you, parents, for not supporting birth control. And it's actually a tie between Kurt Loder and Kurt and Camille, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a tie
My name is
between
still
Kurt and Camille.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes.
So here's what we're going to do.
Death match.
Fine with me.
Yeah, you guys can arm wrestle, and whoever wins, you get the $100 of Camille's money.
What's your favorite weird Oscar moment? I mean, you can't use Marlon Brando's Indian speech.
I guess Jack Palance doing the one-arm put.
Was that an Oscar?
Yeah.
Oh,
Remember he won for best for City Slickers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Awesome.
here is I will give you a tiebreaker question.
All right.
Who won Best Picture? Which film won Best Picture in the 1954 Academy Awards?
On the waterfront. Oops.
On the waterfront.
I would have said that too.
I forgot I wasn't competing in that.
Loder doesn't win because Loder didn't say on the waterfront.
Yeah, I said it.
Well, but I
Camille
should have
said
said it, but I knew it.
Yeah, but he didn't.
I'll remain silent.
No.
Speaking for me.
Yeah.
Camille said it
I would.
because he heard Kyle say it.
Yeah, it's fine. Offsides. I win.
I jumped.
I forgot my
Flag
wallet at
me.
home. I'm
I
sorry.
win.
You win your own money.
Look,
Okay.
technicality,
So you
whatever.
take $100 out of your wallet and put it right in your bank
I
account.
will, and I'll enjoy that.
And then Kyle owes you 100 for losing.
Yes. I'll take it.
This is
Thank
ridiculous.
you, Kyle. This
Yeah.
is the best game ever. All right, well, gentlemen, thank you very much for sharing your Oscar picks, your predictions, your stinkers, and your deep wisdom. And thank me. All right, so why are you paying for someone else's failing film project when you don't see any other rewards? Government loves giving big tax breaks to productions, but does it pay off? Well, this is The Independent. You know the answer to that question. Or do you? Stay with us.
The fact that me, an overfed, long-haired, leaping gnome, should be the star of a Hollywood movie.
This is The Independence, where we subsidized your quest for knowledge, one absurd story at a time. Now, if you're lucky enough to make films and TV, don't listen to all the sob stories about a changing economy, because the list of places willing to give you tax breaks and cash to shoot in their town, it's as long as Camille's memory. Production companies love to hold their productions hostage, and mayors and governors willingly pay the ransom. Do tax breaks and grants pay off?
No. This has been studied by about 10 major economic studies. 8 of them have concluded that they don't pay off. Just like stadium subsidies for sports stadiums, they never pay off. The only 2 studies that supported this data were paid for by state film commissions who are trying to justify their existence, which is to basically give money out to filmmakers. It's an incredible boondoggle. It's more than $1 billion a year goes in the form of subsidies or in tax breaks for film productions, TV productions in this country. More than 45 states now are doing it. It's very much a race to the bottom. It's part of the background noise of financing for films nowadays. And the numbers are staggering. I mean, a place like Michigan, right? Michigan, which is not the best state in the world for the economy, threw $40 million at Oz the Great and Powerful, or whatever that very expensive movie was.
That was a clunker.
Earlier this year. But not only did they get this cash, but they also had access to an $18 million bond that was backed by the state pension system. Right? And so and then they missed out.
If you
on
were
the
a pensioner,
payments.
how would you feel about that? If that's how your future retirement was being gambled?
I mean, it's the Hollywood subsidy system is basically saying these types of productions, these types of industries are sexy, therefore we want to give them money. You know, biotech in Los Angeles or in Southern California hires or employs more than 100,000 people. They're making 60% of all the new drugs that come out are basically coming from there. They get nothing in subsidies, right? There isn't a race around the country. Chris Christie isn't signing deals. Robert De Niro isn't sitting there leading campaigns to give away taxpayer money for these because they're not sexy.
Okay, but why is that, Camille? I mean, why, if it's a bad model, if the money doesn't follow like it's promised, you know, if these Pelosian lies never materialize, why do they do it? Why do mayors and governors fall for these schemes from production companies?
Well, for the same reason that the stadium myth continues to persist on and on and on, despite the fact that there's so much evidence to the contrary. I mean, if you look at this, it's just like the stadium's actually heavily regressive. These are big time movie stars who are making tens of millions of dollars for their film. The studios stand to make a great deal of money. The only people who lose out are the taxpayers. And I am a guy who desperately wants to see the tax code reformed, desperately wants for taxes to be lower in general. But this is a really stupid and totally unsustainable approach to trying to actually do something about the tax code, if that's what you're interested in.
And what it does is, if you say, okay, you favored industry are exempt from the usual taxes, that means you got to get your money, your operating budget, from somebody else.
Yeah.
So you're going to be taxing biotech more to be able to give out money to Hollywood, and that kind of, it's the same reason why we
disincentivize other industries from thriving in a place where you're trying to bring jobs, so hopefully people will buy real estate and support businesses.
It's just a much more boring story to say, hey, look, make it easier to make films, cut the red tape, and create a tax burden and regulatory burden that is just lower across the board. And then, if you're a place like Southern California, which gave birth to the film industry, have some faith in cluster economics. People live there for a reason. They shoot there for a reason.
Eric Garcetti, though, the new mayor, the relatively new mayor of Los Angeles, is making a desperate plea to keep TV and film production in LA because LA has hemorrhaged production to, Canada and 45 other states.
They've been doing this since the mid-90s when LA film got started. And first it was because the Canadian currency was worth a lot less. And so this runaway production was going over there. But then the currency's kind of stabilized, so they used new ideas for that. Schwarzenegger, this is a bipartisan thing. This is everybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's operating the same footsteps. Ultimately, the economics of the industry is changing, and it's difficult. And those jobs aren't things that you can just plug in and keep there for everybody. But to take my money, maybe I don't like Hollywood movies, although I do. Don't spend my money on stuff I don't like. It's not good economics, and it's not good actual morality.
No, as a resident of Southern California, I want films to shoot there. I think it's amazing, but I also want other industries to thrive. My husband, he's not in the movie and TV business, but I want him to make I want him to make Mitt Romney money. I love you, baby. I really do. Old Hollywood has given way to a new climate where sequels are churned out at great cost to appease foreign markets. Is it killing film? Another reason to get grouchy? Only on The Independent.
Watch the world die. We can live beside the ocean. Leave the fire behind. Swim out past the breaker. Watch the world die. That you love someone else instead. I heard through the grapevine.
Let's do the Raisin Dance. Hi, we are The Independents, taking names and keeping score as the Oscars approach. Has Hollywood shot itself in the foot with all these shoot-'em-up sequels that boost the international bottom line? Do domestic films suffer because of overseas appetites for familiar franchises? One producer thinks so, and she's written extensively about her frustrations. Lynda Obst, she's produced more than 20 films, including Contact, Sleepless in Seattle, and The Fisher King. She's the author of 2013's Sleepless in Hollywood. It's a book you should get now, especially if you love film. Welcome, Lynda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Lynda...
Although,
oh, go ahead. No, please.
I was going to say you made me a little bit grumpy with your interpretation of the tax credits, but we'll do that another time.
We're libertarians.
I know you are.
Maybe there should be tax credits for
everyone.
everyone.
And I respect you for that.
Thank you, love. All right, so...
I agree with you.
So tell me, what's wrong with sequels? Why are sequel productions so hard on traditional filmmakers and producers?
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with sequels. In fact, it's the goal of most producers to make a movie that spawns a sequel, because then you're in perpetual production. I have a very good friend who just made the Lego movie, and he's already in production on the Lego sequel, which will make children and families happy next summer. So there's nothing wrong with sequels. It's just that if the entire movie season, except for the season of Oscars, which we're about to discuss, is a pure diet of tentpoles made of sequels and reboots, number 2, number 3, and in the case of some franchises, number 7, there's no room for original movies.
We just heard earlier on the show people, Kurt Loder and Kyle Smith, talking about how this was actually a great artistic year for movies, including a lot of more mid-range type of productions, Dallas Buyers Club, which is a budget movie, essentially. How does that fit into your analysis of these kind of blockbuster tentpole type of movies being made?
Well, it used to be that the studio slate was made up of a number of seasons. And the blockbuster seasons were when the kids were out of school, right? They were Christmas, they were Easter, and they were summer. And that's when the great blockbusters, those big tent poles would come along. After the DVD collapse, however, the studios had to realize where their profits were coming from. And then that turned out to be international. And that required big, gigantic movies, which could play overseas. And then those movies took over the entire year. And then finally, we discovered we had a season called November. That slot called November were where the movies that played for Oscars opened. I now say we'll always have November. And that happened really, it's our wonderful sort of, the season for grown-ups, right? The season for great movies.
I mean, you're talking about traditional filmmakers and traditional roles. What's wrong with things like House of Cards? What's wrong with Netflix and not having traditional studios, not having traditional outlets, and giving people a different way to consume great dialogue? What if all the great dialogue writers are no longer working on, you know, movies? What if they're working on TV shows?
True Detective.
Well, what's wrong is that's a huge crisis for the movie business. I mean, producers like me are all working in television as well as movies now, because the best way to get great dialogue out to the largest numbers of people is through the television business.
Yeah, that problem solved. I
I
mean, there you go. Maybe we just consume things in a different way. It's an evolving economy and society and world.
But it's a tragedy for the film business if we relegate all interesting dialogue just to television and we render unto Caesar in the movie business just tentpoles and sequels and reboots and movies for China. Those of us who've made great movies in the past, and there are a lot of great producers and directors who don't just want to make television, are very happy when November comes around and we get to see our wonderful filmmakers like Chris Nolan and Alfonso Cuarón, who want to work in a medium that needs a huge screen, not just be reduced to dialogue. There are some filmmakers, James Cameron, whose work can't be reduced to dialogue on a small screen.
There will always be room for the James Camerons, and
if
if the product is good, you know, I understand that it's frustrating, but things do have to change, and if the product is good, it will find an audience. Look at Avatar.
Well, you're completely right. What's happened in the film business is it's turned into a business of tentpoles and tadpoles. You know, tiny little movies or gigantic movies.
Tentpoles and tadpoles. That's actually a great title for a book. You should write another one.
Well, that's in my book. But if you look at this,
we're working together. This is beautiful. What a relationship. All right, Lynda Obst, thank you so much for taking the time.
My pleasure.
Very good. All right, coming up, we have a few Oscars of our own to dole out to movies and actors who have gotten the shaft over the years. You can think of some snubs, right? Stay with us. We won't snub you.
Burn, Hollywood, burn. I smell a riot going on. First they're guilty, now they're gone. Yeah, I'll check out a movie, but it'll take a black one to move me. Get me the hell away from this TV. All this news and views are beneath me, so all I hear about each other's.
Hi, White Glasses.
How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm all right.
What do you think's going to win the Oscar for Best Picture?
Ooh, for this year is Les Mis in there?
No. That was last year.
Wolf of Wall Street.
I want to say Wolf of Wall Street.
Was it awesome?
I really liked it.
You love movies, right?
Absolutely.
What was good about it? The boobies?
The lewds.
The lewds, the coke, and the boobs?
Yeah,
That's all any good movie needs.
The Wolf of Wall Street, because it's a true picture of what Wall Street is really like. And I think that Leonardo DiCaprio has been snubbed. So
he totally has been snubbed. Is he finally going to win Best Actor?
He better. He deserves it.
I thought he deserved it for Great Gatsby.
That wasn't my favorite.
I know, but I love that movie.
I know. It was
the
really
book.
I mean, the book was good, but
Daisy's so tragic.
I didn't really like her as Daisy, though.
She wasn't a good Daisy. The character's so good, and
I know, so bad.
Just me talking to my friends on the street that I meet every day. Maybe I'll run into you. I hope so. Welcome back to The Independents, where if we're talking about Oscars, we're a little grouchy. Think of your favorite movie of all time. Did it win an Oscar? Or your favorite performances? Where is Cleavon Little's golden statuette? These are our Bizarro Awards. In another universe, these Oscars would have been revoked or granted. All right, so who are something or someone that has been robbed? Matt Welch.
The Matrix, damn it. 1999, awesome year for movies. They were doing this. No one had done that before. It was super cool. American Beauty won. The Matrix wasn't even nominated. Rushmore wasn't nominated. Office Space wasn't nominated.
Office Space was not nominated. That's a good point.
And sci-fi may, in fact, need its own genre because it's always getting snubbed. 2001, Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick, also did not win. 1969, Oliver won. Oliver.
Shawshank Redemption didn't win.
Stoned enough.
Gwyneth Paltrow did win. Kate Blanchett should have won. She's not going to win this year, and it makes me just sick in my gourd. Shameful. She should have won for Elizabeth. It was a breakthrough role.
That's true.
Everyone said, "Who's that Kate Blanchett?" No one said, "Ooh, Gwyneth Paltrow." I just love her. I adore that film and that performance.
They loved her in a mustache. Everybody loved her in a mustache.
You have kinky fetishes that we will dive into on another show. Shoes and stashes with Matt Welch. Well, whatever you do this Sunday night, wherever you watch the awards, whether it's from a Golden Auditorium in Hollywood or a Cracked-In in St. Louis, just think of me and know, in my heart, I'll be asking you, who are you wearing? For Matt and Camille, I'm Kennedy. Good night.